I'm here with Grant Harrold, better known as the Royal Butler and former butler to the Queen and King. So you yourself are an ambassador for the British Dyslexia Association. Can you give the viewers maybe an overview of what the BDA do and how people might receive support from them?
The BDA is amazing because I was introduced to them about 10 years ago. Around at the same time I decided to discover that I might be dyslexic, because when I was at school I struggled but nobody picked up on it.
Yeah.
And I met the then CEO. I had a conversation with her at one of my etiquette dinners that she was attending, and she said, we should get you to do the test and we'd also love you maybe to help support. And that's when I started kind of working with them and trying to understand more about them, and what they do is very much support people with dyslexia, but also help other people understand what it is to have dyslexia or to live with it, and how to, they help kind of explain about the creative side of dyslexia, the kind of positives,
Yeah.
which I love, the positive side of it. So they're very good at that part, at just kind of raising awareness, and they do it in such a good way, and it's done in a way that's, I've experienced, like, I suppose, kind of bullying online because of being dyslexic, believe it or not. But putting things up, people can't, people
Yeah.
have a go at you, and they're amazing, because what we do is I tag them and, say instead of being negative, why let's not support dyslexia through the BDA, be positive, and they love that. So that's the kind of working relationship I have with them, and it's great, and it is helping. It really is making a difference, because people that are then be negative normally then apologise, and they actually go to the website and they check everything out, and it gives them a different, I think they'll be more cautious in the future rather than kind of jumping and saying something to somebody.
Which is what we need.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how can the BDA help employers to support their workforces?
It's a good question, and again, they've done some research, and I think it's about 10% of the population in the workplace have got dyslexia, and the way they support them is through, again, training. They run courses, they've got a helpline, so they're there as a support, really, and they encourage people to kind of get in touch, and workplaces take them in touch as well. And they've got quite a large team as well, and I've actually met at different events. I've met some of they've got dyslexic schools as well. I've met some of the teams from those schools, and it's an ongoing, it's an ongoing project, isn't it? It's a big thing, but I think it's amazing, because when I was at school and when I went into my first workplace, there was no support. People just didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I really struggled, and people didn't understand it. And to be completely truthful, people, I just thought, I've obviously got issues. I'm just not that bright, and that's what you assume. When now people, I think, are less likely to think that, because of the support that the BDA will give people in the workplace, which I think is really important.
Yeah. So in terms of your own experiences, what effect does dyslexia have on your daily life as an adult?
The biggest problem I've had, so I'll give you an example. When I worked for the now King, when he was Prince of Wales, I would sometimes have to do documents for him, or things that he had to read, memos, little notes, and they would either be handwritten or they'd be typed in the computer, depending on what it was I was trying to get across. And I feel really sorry for him, because I have no idea how he managed to decipher what I've written, because I've some of these notes I remember kind of looking over them when I got them back, thinking that doesn't make sense. And yet he didn't ever say a word. He never said a word about it. He was always, his grammar and everything is perfect. He's so good at it. He's great with the English language, but he never ever criticised or said anything negative about it, and always got nice little comments on the notes. So again, but I was embarrassed, because obviously now I realise that that's what I've been doing for many years. So it has impacted me, and even the work I do today, I still struggle. I'm lucky that I have a team that help when it comes to correspondence, emails, that kind of thing. But I still do my own emails from time to time. I still write letters, and I know I struggle, but at least I know that, and people around me now know I'm dyslexic. So it's not a get out, but at least people kind of go, oh, that's just right. They understand it.
So dyslexics are both known for their strengths and weaknesses. What type of coping mechanisms have you developed, or would you say that became something that you probably didn't even realise that they were coping mechanisms anymore?
I think it's interesting. So one of the coping mechanisms that I didn't realise was creativity, which I think you agree that
That was the same with me, yeah.
So that is a way of being able to turn it into a positive. And I've always been creative, even when I was at school. Even though I couldn't, I struggled reading, I struggled writing, but I still put together stage shows. I used to do plays and things, and I used to direct them and everything. And more so in recent years with what I do with my social media and my media work, there's a very strong creative side, and I think I focus obviously on that. So my kind of way of dealing with it is I don't skip around it because I know it's there, and I talk about it. I think that's the other thing. I'm not afraid of speaking about it.
To be open
about it. The biggest problem that I had was, again, with the social media, with people being negative because of how I've written something, and initially it would upset me. I'd get angry. You'd want to say something back and say, why are you judging me? But instead of being negative, I've turned it right round to be a positive. And as I said, I now will go and say, well, why don't you support the BDA and understand and learn about dyslexia before criticising?
To show that it's not a bad thing.
To show that it's not a bad thing, but I'm very polite about it, and it's all about, I'm a huge believer in kind of the positive energy, and I'm trying to, not turn it into negative. I'm just staying positive, staying happy about it, and saying to them, look, why don't you do, and normally that works. Normally they come back and they'll say, I'm ever so sorry, you're absolutely right, I should be doing more to help support it or to understand it, and that's what happens. But what is shocking is sometimes people criticise you, that's the shocking bit, because these are people that are in society, they can be quite high profile, they can run organisations or companies or something that have got a really good background to them, and it's not the people you expect. That's the biggest shock. And so when I do have to tag them, obviously other people see that and they look at the profile and think, wow, that's not great, you've done that, and that's when obviously get a bit embarrassed.
Yeah.
But then I think, why do it in the first place?
Yeah, don't do it.
No, exactly. Don't judge. It's that thing about not judging other, unless you want to be judged, which I'm a huge believer in.
Yeah. So I know that you said that you do still do emails and you read stuff, but is there anything else that you generally avoid doing that a non-dyslexic would do?
I've started using things like Grammarly. I use things like that to try to help, which obviously most people probably wouldn't think about that. I use Alexa and Siri sometimes, which become very handy. I think the one we're going into, you're very lucky, if I can say, because your age and everything, you're surrounded with this amazing technology. Where when I was growing up, and I'm sure your mum would agree, it was very different back then, and we didn't have all that. So I think it's going to make it easier going forward. But I think it's important still that anyone that does have dyslexia or that struggles, that they don't give up in emails or writing. I think you still do it, even if it's wrong. It doesn't matter. It's the fact you're still trying. And I mean, I've sent some emails to some, high-profile people, and when I read them back, I've got them wrong. In fact, I did one the other day, and I had to literally email and apologise and say I've got that totally wrong. And there was another example where I put something on social media about a friend of the king that was coming to visit me, and this person in particular was also going to see the king and then come and see me. And I was supposed to say I was looking forward to entertaining this person for this event, and instead of putting entertaining, I used another word, which I'm too polite to kind of say it, but it was another word which a completely innocent one, but does mean something else. And it was so embarrassing. And luckily people noticed and messaged me and said you have to change it, and I did change it, and luckily my friend found it hysterical. But it just showed me how easy it is. And can I just say, I'd read this a couple of times over, and it seemed absolutely fine.
I do that. You can reread stuff and you're like, oh yeah, it's great, I'll send stuff off, and then I'm like, oh.
And then you think, how did that happen?
Yeah.
It annoys you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You actually get annoyed, think, how did that happen? But it happens, and I think the coping mechanism is just don't let it bother you. I mean, literally just don't worry about it, and just think, do you know what? It's a mistake, move on from it. Don't kind of burden yourself up, set yourself over it, because that doesn't achieve anything. that doesn't achieve
Yeah,
it.
I mean, the technology's great until Siri decides to start talking in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's not skill when she's listening. I don't like that.
Would you say your own experiences are driving your motivation to see more help for dyslexic people?
Absolutely. More so with younger people. Interestingly, I think you probably can tell that because when it comes to younger people, because of my experiences, I'm really keen that they don't, and I don't think they will have the same experiences now.
But
I'm
they
keen,
don't go through it.
but they don't. Yeah, exactly. And the bullying thing was a reality for me as well when I was at school. Unfortunately, I think bullying is horrendous, and it's awful when you go through it for whatever reason. But that's, I don't think that it's one of those things that how do you eradicate that? I don't think you can. There's always
going to
be there. Always has been, always will be. It's learning how to deal with it, how to manage it. And so with being dyslexic, that's obviously something people do pick on. But I'm hoping that is one of the things that as time goes on, it will change. I really do think that will change.
And do you think as a society we support dyslexic people sufficiently once they've left full-time education?
I think the tools are there to be able for it, so it should be. Does it? Not quite. I wouldn't have said we're there yet. I think it's definitely improving without question.
Than what it was.
Than what it was, but I still see, there's still areas, and you think, society's, they still don't get it. And I mean, one of these committees that I get to, not involved in, but I get to see is to do with BDA when they're involved with Parliament. Sometimes there's different laws and things trying to get put in on a lot of things to help. And so I'm aware that there's things going on behind the scenes to try to make changes and to improve things, but that's all going to take time. But I think as time goes on, society will change, and there's a huge amount of society that are dyslexic and might not even know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we've got to understand, and instead of people kind of seeing it as funny, supporting. I get sometimes that people will see, you write something and you've written it the wrong way, and that is funny and I think sometimes you've got to laugh yourself.
Yeah.
And think, you know what, that was funny. There's other times when it's not funny, and I think it's just kind of, you've almost got to get a tougher skin and not kind of worrying too much about it and just doing the best you can. I think that's the secret, do the best you can. And the biggest thing that I learned in being dyslexic with what I do is it has made me think of things so differently to everybody else, which I'm sure you do as well. And look what you're doing, it completely makes you want to achieve things that other people wouldn't even go for.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. I had this dream of one day wanting to meet the late Queen and dancing with her, and I was determined to do it, and I've done it. You've probably, I'm sure, got similar. You're not similar, but you've probably got maybe a prince out there. But your aspirations with what you're doing, and you're not letting anything stop you, which I think is amazing. And doing this as well, and raising. Not only you trying to do what you want to do for yourself, you're also doing this kind of thing, which is going to help so many other people, which is fantastic. So I think it's amazing. I'm sure your mum's very proud of you.
And I understand you weren't diagnosed until you were an adult. And looking back, should it have been obvious to your teachers that you were dyslexic? Were there signs that were very obviously missed?
Completely believed that there were signs, but I think back then, and when they're talking about the 80s, 90s, it seems so long ago,
it was brushed.
It was brushed, and I don't know if they understood it as much back then, and they probably just thought, you're just not as intelligent. I remember my school reports, I still got them. My late parents I had a folder, I think they gave them to me, and I've kept them, and it makes me smile because it says how Grant struggles a little bit, and he's creative, but he does struggle in general. And a chatterbox, which is great for media, chatterbox is one of my favourite little quotes. So, but you can see when you read them that I was struggling. I was very arty. I was good with painting, drawing, those kind of things, which I think again is a classical thing. But when you look at these reports, you can see that obviously it was a struggle, but there was definitely there was no support, and that's the one thing about my school life, which I don't really. This is probably one of the first times I kind of talked about it. Is that I did struggle because of that. I did struggle because of bullying and just not fitting in. And the reason I didn't fit in was I was just different. Everybody was watching football. I'm watching Royal events. Everybody goes and has their takeaways, I was going home and laying up a table to have a meal. You know, I was just
Yours
a very.
sounds like the best one.
I think I was born into the wrong life. I think I thought I was born to be a royal or something, but it was just that was just my thing, and now I'm glad that I was like that. You know.
Well, look where it's got you.
Completely, and so I say to anybody that it doesn't matter. You know, people that maybe watch and listen with dyslexia that think, oh, I'm always going to struggle. You're not always going to struggle. It's don't see it as a struggle. See it as I literally see it as a gift. I think you've probably been told that. You see it as a gift, and you turn it around in its head and use it as your superpower, basically. Yeah. And which is exactly what you're doing, and that's what I've done. And I think that's the important message: is that people don't see it as a problem. See it as there's always solutions. There's no problems, and see it as a positive. It's a superpower, and go out there and do your best, which is what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much for this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you. I can see you after this. I can see you doing interviews with one of these talk show hosts. I can see you doing the late night show or something soon. That would be just invite me onto those shows.
Yeah.
Those shows.
Well, this was great. I mean, you've poured tea for my mum. The Royal Butler's poured tea for my mum.
I say she was also very good at she did a bit of pouring for me as well. So I think mum's got a secret aspiration to be a butler as well.
Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for coming to see me.